Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Men and Sex. I'm your host, Mr. Wood. This podcast is all about normalizing the taboo conversations. Here we talk about sex, we talk about masturbation, we talk about porn, we might even talk about semen intention. We talk about it all. And I bring in different teachers, different guests. Sometimes I interview men anonymously. Today, I have one of the original podcast guests on the Men and Sex podcast. I think it was episode number two, and he'll get to share some more of his story. His name's Alex Gere, and he's here to tell his story of the last year and a half, his journey of stepping up to the plate, diving into sexuality. And a big focus for this episode is the power of talking about sex openly. I have so much to say about this as well. Alex, welcome to the show. Welcome back. I'm excited to dive in with you.
Yeah, welcome back, isn't it?
Yeah, welcome back, Carter. Good to
Yeah.
see you.
Different life, different version of me here now, but yeah, it's mad coming full circle.
So let's bring the listeners back to the beginning. And I would love if you would share just a little bit of what you shared about being in the car or being in the field, but just like where you were when we had that first conversation podcast and what you were facing in your own relationship to sexuality.
Yeah, well, I'll start by just saying that now, where I am now, is I'm now qualified, accredited men's sex coach, which is still crazy for me to say that because it was not my part of my plan at all. But when we first spoke, which was probably near enough like 2 years ago now. I was just absolutely terrified of sex, of talking about it, of hearing about it, of having it. I was just utterly terrified, and I went looking for someone to speak to, and I found you. Must be like 2 years ago, and our first conversation we had together, it was like I think over here it was probably midnight. It was winter. It was pitch black. I went and sat in the car. It was -4. I was shivering. I was quiet. And we spoke on the phone and I was like, oh man. I just didn't know like I didn't know where to turn. I didn't know who to speak to. Um, yeah. And just looking back on that is like, yeah, it was just a whole different lifetime.
So obviously you were a very different version of yourself. And when you look back and see that version of yourself, what are some of the things that you remember or notice in regards to like what was so scary about it? What was the anxiety? What was the fear? What was present for you that maybe some of the listeners can resonate with? They might be in a similar place.
I guess I didn't really know what it was at the time. The biggest thing that I remember when I think back is that I thought I was completely alone. I
Yeah.
thought that there was something wrong with me as a man
Boom.
because my story is one of drug and alcohol addiction and then recovery. So this all happened to me in recovery. Is I used to pacify my nervous system with drinking drugs. So anytime I got triggered or like a fear or anxiety came up when I was with a woman or about to have sex with a woman, I just drank through it. So I didn't really feel anything. And then when I got sober, um, I just couldn't hide from those feelings anymore. So that's when I started this journey because I got sober. I started interacting with women and the feeling of fear and anxiety if I knew they wanted to have sex or there was a chance that sex was going to happen. It was like a full somatic, visceral fear, nervous system set on fire feeling that I went through. Um, and it didn't make any sense because I wanted to have sex and I wanted to be with women, but when it came down to it, it was just absolutely terrifying. And I understand what it is now is ultimately is performance anxiety. It was a deep belief that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't going to be good enough, I wasn't going to satisfy them, that I was going to fail, um, and that. that feeling just like overtook me and it was paralyzing.
There's such a potent combination in here that is the feeling of being completely alone that I think so many men face because there are very few places to talk about this subject matter in particular. So there's that feeling of alone, and I think there's kind of an inherent resistance being a man to expose any weaknesses.
Mm,
Like it's in the collective, it's modeled to us to actually appear stronger and bigger than maybe we even are. But what we're showing, like we're puffing up and we're showing our bigness, we're showing that we're grander maybe than we even are. But to show weakness, that's insane. Like you don't do that
yeah,
because then
especially when it comes to sex.
someone could get you. Someone
Hmm.
could, get you in some way. So it's such a prison for us as men, for me as a man, when I don't have people that I can talk to, and I feel resistance to showing my cards that may feel like a weakness.
Hmm. Yeah, it feels like you're alone because it's the last. I think it's the last thing you discuss with friends. There's so much shame tied into it, so it's very difficult for a man to say to his partner, "I'm nervous about having sex." But
Yeah.
then, even bigger than that is going to another male friend and saying, "I'm scared of having sex," because you're putting yourself up for like absolute ridicule. And the way that we've communicated to our male friends about sex our whole life has just been bravado and bragging and conquests. And we don't have anywhere as a man. We're not going to go to our friends unless we're very, very lucky and say, oh, I can't get up at the moment, or I've got a porn addiction, or I'm terrified of sex. It's just not possible. So that's a really, really lonely place to be.
It's it is, and it's interesting because, as we talk about this, there's men that I can even think of recently where I talked to them, they're facing a massive thing. Maybe I'm the first person they've told, or they've only told a couple people, and it's clear that this is very challenging for them in their life, but there's still such a threshold there to step into the action that
Mm,
like this trap that we're talking about, this internal prison that we're talking about, it's so strong. It's so powerful to keep men that there really is. I mean, yes, there's a ton of unique experiences that men can have, but the challenge that we're facing is not that large of a variety. It's some feeling
no,
of not being good enough. It's some feeling of being broken. It's some feeling of confusion. It's some feeling of not being something enough. Like there's not that many avenues in which the challenge that we're facing is actually different. We all have our
no.
unique stories, but there are, I would say, with a B, billions, I would say there's probably a billion men that are facing sexual struggles, but feeling like I'm the only man facing this challenge.
Isn't that wild?
It's crazy.
Yeah. And that's, and as I'm sure you found out, because me and like people like me and you are actually out here trying to talk about it and doing the work, we know when people do finally open up to us and we have conversations, men open up finally, and we know that they're all having this shared experience of these fears and anxieties. But to actually admit that is one thing, and then to actually, like you say, to actually take action and do something about it is like you have to be. I've spoken to this with Cam as well, and it's almost like you have to be desperate to ask for help, and then if you want help, you don't really know where to go.
So that's perfect because I was gonna ask you, I was gonna say, okay, there you were, you shared, you felt resistance. Do you what do you feel like was your propellant, your fuel to be able to step into that fear and that discomfort? Do you feel it was a rock bottom or do you feel like it was a courage? Like what was it that got you that started that journey that now, a year and a half, 2 years later, now you're in the coach position? Like, what made you able to do that?
It was desperation. It was um, so I'd been sober for like a year and a half, and I kept getting these triggers, and I'd feel them like sickness in my stomach and like pounding chest. Really small things could happen, but this trigger was just really painful in my body. And then one time I was with a girl, and something triggered me, and the trigger was so severe that I couldn't really talk that evening. I went to sleep. When I woke up the next day, I was still activated. I couldn't go to work because I was still shaking and my heart was still pounding. And it lasted for 24 hours, this full somatic physical experience. And that was when I realized like, this is not just me being anxious. This is like my body is going into fight or flight because of these triggers that come from a deep wounding of I don't know what. I don't know what. I don't know why this is happening. I don't know where these triggers have come from, but this is not just me struggling with my mind. My body is like seriously reacting here. And then I was like, I've got to do something about this. And that was when, and then I tried to find, I really want to speak to a man because felt that a man would be able to understand. And I looked for sex coaches and I found thousands of women, which is awesome. But I couldn't find a man to speak to. I remember going on Instagram and typing in men and sex, and one thing came up, and it was you. And that was it. And that's when, and that's how the conversation started.
Wow.
And when I spoke to you at that time, I think you had like 150 followers. So it was like, I was like, this is mad. This is like, I can't be the only person that's experiencing this. Um, but no one is talking about it. No one, apart from Ian.
Well, I'll tie in here in my own experience because that statement you just said is what really brought me on this journey in the same way that you discovered it. I discovered it in a different way, but it was the same discovery of no one's talking about this was for me being in men's personal development that my father brought me into, and in these spaces there was just such a little amount of time to talk about sex. And I would hear men over and over again. They'd share a story about their relationship with sexuality. They'd get like a little window to talk about it. And then they'd say, I've never told that to anyone in my life.
Mm,
And I heard this so many times. It was just like beating me over the head. Oh, always in connection to sexuality, multiple times hearing, I've never told this to anyone in my life. I've never told this to anyone in my life. And I looked around even at men's personal development,
mm,
leading groups,
yeah.
and there was hardly any talk about sex. For me, I couldn't help but see men screaming that this needs more attention. Then learning the different stats, like how much money the adult industry makes, how many views they get per day, per month, per year, and all
Mm,
this information just came together that was the potency behind this conversation, which is men need more space to openly talk about sex. Point blank. That's just the beginning. And even just at that beginning line, if that's all you and I were of service to, there's
yeah.
such a need for it to just be able to have the conversation about it. And that's really what we're teasing apart today.
Mm. And what's also really important is that we can have space to talk about it free of shame. There's just so much shame. And I think it does go back to like, our teenage days and school days. The only way we discuss sex with our peers is conquests and achievements and goals. There's no discussion of feelings or emotions or worries or preferences or any of this stuff. It's just very, very basic. So unless we're conforming to like the societal script, then we're gonna feel shame. And I just feel like men are just plagued with shame, just totally plagued with shame. And to find a safe space where you can talk about it free from shame, that's a real rarity. And that's what that's what we are trying to change, I guess. And Cam and
Yeah.
some awesome guys I've met.
It's really fascinating because with shame, it usually inherently goes with silence. Back to
Mm.
that weakness thing is that perception of anything that I believe is wrong about me, why am I going to show that to you? And
Mm.
what
Makes
which is
sense.
really interesting because in the showing it to you, that's where my shame actually starts to get to change. That the
Yeah.
things that I don't want you to see, when I start showing them to you, that is part of the dissipation of me carrying that belief about myself anymore.
Yeah. That's how we release the charge.
And that's why, this whole conversation about talking about sex is so profound is if I tell you all the things that I'm that you're gonna abandon me or make fun of me or whatever, and I tell you all those things and you just sit there and you're like, wow, thank you for sharing. That's such a weight that I now
Yeah.
get to no longer carry alone.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like most men, if they were able to open up to their friends and, you know, because I've worked with men's groups where like vulnerability and openness and honesty is part of our kind of way of being. In those spaces, we open up to each other, and then quickly guys realize, oh, that was easy. The shame's gone. We're all the same. But in general society and in sort of general friendship, um, it's so difficult. And I think we do sit in fear and we assume that, like you say, we're going to be judged or we're going to be abandoned. And like you said, the shame sits in silence. It's the same as like maybe an addiction. If you're stuck in addiction, it's a lot of addicts just suffer in silence because they're just full of shame and they don't want anyone to know. And the day that they reach out and say, "I'm in trouble, I need help," that starts the recovery and it takes the charge out of it and the process starts.
So looking back, you came, you showed up, you shared your story, things started to shift for you. What was that like for you, moving from the fear and the not telling anyone to talking about it and sharing with other men? What do you remember in that experience with your own shame and your own process of moving through that?
But it's taken a long time. It's not something that you can sort of solve overnight. But like I say, I started with you. I remember having that first ever conversation. And I also I found three guys that I decided to do some work with in the sexual space. And it was you, there's Cam Fraser, in Australia, and I found a guy called David Chambers in London who isn't a sex coach, but he deals a lot with intimacy. And I made connections with you three guys. Um, and all three of you are my friends now, which is also mad. Yeah, how the
Which
universe works.
is so badass just to,
Yeah.
like for the fact of like the example of going for something instead of being frozen, one is being frozen in fear and not taking action,
Mm,
and you literally just decided to take action, and the pendulum swing is just fascinating.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, my story is highly unusual because it's quite extreme that I'm now a professional in that space. But I think the process, it's taken a long time. It's been a lot of talking. Um,
Yeah.
but each time you talk about it, the more you talk about it, the more you open up, the more different people you speak to. People can be a bit hesitant at first to listen or receive what you're saying, or a bit suspicious, or a bit cautious. But I just started to notice everyone around me open up a little bit more and be a bit more honest and a bit more vulnerable, and the charge get taken out of them. Um, I did some work with Cam. I made connections with this guy, David, and we just had some conversations. I ended up at a workshop with him. I joined a men's group run by my friend David. And in that space gave me the opportunity to be really open with because I had a group of guys. There's 12 guys in there who are all signed up to be open and vulnerable. So that was an amazing opportunity. I joined your container, the reset, which I thought was absolutely awesome. And that was really important to realize, like you said, how similar the problems are. Like this, I think there was probably about 15 of us guys in there, all from all around the world, totally different lives, totally different stories, same problems. And that really made me realize, yeah, this is a man thing. This is not like,
It is a man thing.
this is a man thing. I mean, I don't know if there'll be many men out there that haven't had fears and anxiety around sex. I doubt it very much. If you've never experienced fear and anxiety around sex, I wouldn't believe you. I just wouldn't.
I love
But to
that.
admit it, to admit it is like, it's a huge thing. Like I will happily go online and talk about how terrified I was. Um, but I know it's not that simple for a lot of people to do it. To admit there's something wrong and then ask for help um, is is still huge. It's still highly charged. But yeah,
I haven't even gotten to ask you this yet. I haven't even heard the story from you, but you did a year with Cam, right?
yeah. So this is why my story is quite unusual because I I wasn't planning to go down this route at all, but I knew there was something more for me to do in this world than what I was doing. And um, I just, I kind of made dealing with these fears and anxieties and like learning about myself and my sexuality a priority. And I was following Cam and I saw that he was advertising for a 1 year certification program. I think that was his third year, where you can spend a year with him and qualify as it's actually a men's sacred sexuality coach. Um, but I applied for it. I didn't for a second think that I would get on it. It was just on a whim. I saw it. I was on holiday on a sun lounger by a pool, and I saw it come up, and I was like, actually, that sounds like a dream opportunity for me. I'm going to apply. I applied for the bursary position. Um, didn't think I would get it. But he ended up awarding it to me because of all the work that I had done. Um, so I explained the whole thing that happened with the bodily triggers and all the emotions and stuff, and the people I'd reached out and I was working with, and the work I'd done, and the courses I've been on. So all the pain and the anxiety I'd been through, and then all the work that I'd done ended up qualifying me to get on the course.
Ooh.
So it's like I thought I'm gonna apply for this.
Wow.
I'll never get it, but if I do, then it's fate. And yeah, I started in January, and this whole year, it's nearly a year now, um, of deep discussions, lectures, readings, covering all aspects of male sex and sexuality, esoteric teachings, physical systems, energetic systems. Like there's nothing we haven't covered. It's been insane, um,
What's
and
so
life-changing.
what's so potent about that share is that you showing your cards was a huge part of you getting that opportunity, that you actually in showing it all and exposing it all is a part of how you got that life-changing opportunity.
Yeah, like so by taking that step, taking that action, and going, I'm suffering. I cannot suffer anymore. I'm going to take action. I didn't take action because I knew it would, you know, give me a career change, but I just took action because I was desperate and because something had to change. And then because of that whole process, I've ended up on a completely different life trajectory, doing something I'm like deeply passionate about and excited about, having conversations with awesome people from around the world. It's like my whole life has changed from that point of desperation. Mad.
This is something that we can continually talk about for years, but it's worth bringing to the conversation here, which is how do we shift it so that men don't wait till they're desperate, especially when
Mm,
it comes to sexuality? It's like I'm constantly trying to figure out how I can express this in terms that are actually like the gravity of what I'm saying can actually be felt because I do truly believe that the way we relate to sexuality is the way we relate to life.
mm,
And if if it's like I'm trying to figure out how to verbalize it in a way that it's like, men, look at your relationship to your cock. Like, look at your relationship to masturbation. Look at your relationship to sex. I don't give a fuck if you think your problem is puts you in a place of desperation or not. Like, I just want to like trust me. But
yeah.
it's like there's this code to crack because I swear it is like it is such a common thing that it's either desperation or nothing, you know?
Mm, yeah. I mean, I wish I had the answer. I feel like your sexuality is like a vital part of your humanity. It's no different to eating. It's, you know, you can't live without eating. You can't live without sex and intimacy. You want to eat. You want to have sex. It's an integral part of being a human. But somehow we kind of visualize being a human, and then sex is a little thing on the side that we do, but we don't talk about. But it's an integral part of being a human. I kind of think that maybe it will go the way of like mental health, and maybe 25 years ago or more, people didn't talk about their mental health.
True. Yeah,
And
yeah. Wow.
if you were suffering with depression, you just manned up and you just got on with it. And you didn't
Yeah.
have people talking about their depression or their anxiety or their OCD.
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays, it's like a prevalent part of your story, as we know that most people have some mental health issues, and we can talk openly about it without any shame. But
Yeah.
that's taken a long time, and I feel like sex is still it's still taboo to talk about it, which is just it's just nuts because we all want it and we all do it, or we all try and do it. We all came from it. The people we brought us up did it. Our siblings do it, our friends do it, our neighbors do it. It's like, why, why can we not talk about it? But it still is. It's like the last taboo, you know?
I think that yeah, there's something here that I love that you put that out that way and it made me remember a piece of it, which is like, yeah, this is the at the forefront of this subject. And that's really helpful for me to remember that mental health hasn't even been a commonality that's in discussion for that long.
Mm.
And so we're at the forefront of this wave that is definitely coming. I'm definitely seeing this wave moving through. And so those of you that are listening, you're a part of that wave. And
Yeah, exactly.
that's the encouragement, which is like, man, dive in, sink your teeth in ahead of the curve.
Yeah. If you're a guy and you're listening to this, you are massively ahead of the curve. Um, and that's good for me to remember as well, because like yourself, sometimes it does feel like you're not getting through to anyone or you're shouting into the void. Um, but there are people that are looking at their relationship to sex and that are opening up and that are looking for help.
In the last year of learning and being on your path, what was either a particular teaching or a particular practice that really stood out or really resonated for you or changed your relationship to sex?
A lot of the kind of breath work, um, meditation, kind of connecting with your body practices have been really helpful. There was a lot of information about spiritual traditions. I'm never very, very good at relaying the information, but learning about chi and energy, um, moving energy through your body. The breath has been one of the most insane things. The what you can do with your breath, how you can control your body and control your nervous system, and that's been kind of life changing. But also just kind of learning that um, there's not one way for us to be when
Ooh,
it comes to expressing yourself.
ooh,
There's such a varied way of expressing yourself, and I think I used to think like sexuality was are you gay or are you straight, and that was it. And learning about all the influences that you have throughout your life, social, geographical, economical, religious, school, all these things that shape you. Um, Understanding like how nuanced and how deep that was fascinating. And yeah, just the fact that we all have different preferences and we all have different flavors and tastes that we like, and you're free to express yourself in any way you want. You don't ha It doesn't have to look a certain way. You don't have to behave a certain way. It doesn't have to look a certain way. It's up to you. You get to create what sex is and what sex looks like. It's like the destruction of the script I find really fascinating.
ooh.
There's a script. There's a way that we think that we're supposed to do things in a certain order for a certain time frame, and the destruction of that has been really powerful for me.
Ooh, I love that. The destruction of the script. And
Mm.
of course, so many of us men believe there's a script because we've been watching scripted sex for
Yeah.
so long. I mean, those are scripted. There are plots. There
Yeah.
are lights and camera people that have a script that they're following, and so that is what the program has been.
Mm. I don't know you talk about this a lot, but yeah, the damage that's been created by porn. Um, Not that it's not
Yeah.
inherently bad or good. It's a thing, but the damage it has done by it being the primary way of young men and young women getting sex education is huge. It's huge what's happened because of that.
And I think one of the biggest pieces is what you're talking about here, which is like breaking out of the script because when I'm programmed to think it's supposed to be a certain way, there isn't vitality in that. There isn't true turned on arousal energy there. It's
Mm.
stagnant. It's more dead-like because it's a mind thing. It's a you do this first, you do this second, you do this third, and you know, and this needs to happen for this, and if this happens, that's bad. And it's just like so in
Mm.
the mind, that's not vitality, that's not creative life force energy, that is not the body turned on.
No, no,
And
you're following something.
blowing that script away is what brings us back into the unique dance between individuals that is where all that vitality, arousal, and freaking delicious juiciness is.
I love that. I always use the term dance. It shouldn't be a structured, scripted scene. It should be a dance of connection and intimacy between two people or more.
And just like learning how to dance,
It takes time, practice.
it requires practice. It requires teachings and understandings, particularly like it's like dancing a choreographed thing
Mm,
or dancing some sort of free flow dance that's always unique to the music and the people and there's no mind in it. It's completely just in the moment. That's so much of what intimacy is this free form in the moment dance of two people. I mean, there can be more than that, but usually between two
yeah,
people.
yeah,
And that has so much alive, connective energy to it.
yeah. And I think another damaging thing about the script is that it can lead to a lot of shame if you feel like, oh, I didn't follow the script it was supposed to, so therefore I failed. And that it brings a lot of shame. But if we just allow ourselves to be present and be in the moment and move with the energy and let everything flow, it's not really a wrong or right way.
And once again, in order for us to break out of scripts and do anything other than what we're doing, it requires us having a conversation. It
Awareness.
requires us talking about it. It requires the thing that is hard for me also to put into words is the more that I talk about sex outside of that act with another person, the more that I talk about it, the more that I feel comfortable talk about it, the more that I feel comfortable with how I express myself, that all translates to my ability to communicate that in a calm, easeful way in an intimate experience.
Hmm.
If I can't talk about it to you or other guys or other people, that means I'm gonna be pretty bad at it when I go to talk to an intimate partner about it. I'm not gonna communicate very well. I'm not gonna translate what I'm thinking and feeling very well. I'm gonna be awkward in my body about it because I haven't been practicing. So this
Hmm.
whole idea of talking about sex openly, and we're talking about it in men's groups or in community, has a direct correlation to my ability to speak to that with an intimate partner.
Yeah, it removes the charge. And when you've got that charge, there's it's just so much opportunity for you to get triggered and for pain to come up and fear and anxiety and shame because it's because it is a highly charged thing. Whereas if you've had the conversation, like say with peers or with friends or with a mentor, and you've talked about it, the charge is removed. It's no big deal.
So you've been on this journey facing the fears, courage, going, having this opportunity with Cam. Now you're on the other side, putting yourself out there to work with men. What are the things that you're most passionate about men talking about?
Um, I think, like you were saying, it's just taking. I want men to take the charge out. I want men to be able to admit that they're experiencing fear and anxiety, and for that not to be a problem. Thinking back to our podcast when we did the first podcast we did together, uh, I actually had to go and walk about 4 miles away from my workplace into a field in the English countryside and into a bush to speak to you on the phone just in case anyone heard, because it seemed so terrifying. And now I'm on the internet, on Instagram and on Spotify, like happily, openly talking about it. I just want the charge to be removed and for us to like for society and for men to accept like sex is just something that we all do and it's a normal part of being human and it doesn't need to be scary and it doesn't need to be shameful and it doesn't need to be something that you lock away and keep silent and secret about. Like let's just talk about it without any shame.
That's such
Get it
a
out in the open.
that's such a potent visual of you like having to get the miles of distance to,
Yeah.
because that's like the weight of that,
Yeah, looking over your shoulder,
the
like
potency. And now, yeah, you're like putting it out there for people to hear. That's a drastic change. That's a drastic difference of
yeah, yeah. It's huge.
comfort, comfort in one's own story and to share it.
I used to, if I was in a room and people started talking about sex, I'd have to leave the room because it was just far too triggering. And now it's kind of like all I talk about.
So I'm so grateful to have this conversation with you in this way for the listeners because I often want to point towards the liberation that is experienced not only in the bedroom, but outside of it. So it's like, as you've gone on this journey, the subject has been sexuality and your willingness to talk about that. But I'm curious where else in your life you see liberation or less stress and less anxiety as you've been on this trajectory with sex. How do you notice that that's rippled into other liberation or ways that you show up as a man?
I think it's just changed kind of like all aspects of my life because I felt like I was kind of doing all right with all other areas before, and there was this elephant in the room, this big black cloud that was hanging over me. And through removing the charge and doing the work and getting to where I am now, my confidence is just, it's kind of unshakable now. I have this solid foundation of confidence that I've built, which I didn't realize at the time, but any lack of confidence or fear I had was down to my relationship with sex. So it wasn't to do with money or my job or my status or my friendships or social circles. My confidence was all based on actually my relationship to sex. So once I'd dealt with my relationship to sex and built my confidence by understanding myself and my unique gifts and my unique expression and removing shame and celebrating the way that I move through the world, my confidence just kind of grew in all other areas. So my finances have improved, my job prospects have improved, my relationships improved, my friendships have improved, my communications improved. It's kind of like everything was all based on this fear of sex was what was holding me back from like all areas of life. And everything has changed since I've dealt with that.
I'm curious your thoughts on this. It's becoming louder and louder for me and a more and more clear truth, which is I believe that confidence is built through seeing where I'm insecure and facing it. That whatever I hold as something I feel wrong, bad, not good enough about myself, if I go straight into that thing, that's actually how my confidence grows or
Yeah.
expands. So
It-
in this theory, and I'd love to hear your ideas behind it too, is in that theory, the most beneficial thing we could do as a man is look for the things that we feel the most insecure about and going straight towards them.
yeah. Go where the pain is, go where the fear is. Like if you want to learn about yourself, or if you want to move forward in life, or you want to open up new opportunities for growth and like self-development, you go where the pain is. Go where all the fear is, and like the thing you're trying to avoid the most, that's where you need to go. That's where all the growth is.
Yeah. And once again, it's something that we have to have a conversation around because I think there's a natural inclination or programs within the human psyche to avoid those things, just like we're designed to not touch the hot stove because we learned that it's
Mm,
painful. There's aspects of our mind that unless we bring in that meaning and understanding to go towards that thing, the mind will automatically go away from it.
of
So
course.
I, as a man, have to get the understanding of, okay, if I want more confidence, whether it's in business, relationship, physique, whatever, wherever I want
Mm,
more confidence, all I have to do is sit down and really look for the things that I feel that I'm the shittiest at or the worst at or the most insecure about or where I feel
hmm
shame, something's wrong, bad, broken about me. Get clear on that and actually go into it. And that is the most direct path to confidence.
And I think you'll find that most of our, as men, most of our fear and anxiety and lack of confidence will come from something to do with sex. I think if we really look at it as a man, a lot of one thing I've learned from talking with a lot of men and men's groups and stuff is that the most commonly suffered wound that all men have is I'm not good enough. It
Yeah.
seems to be the most prevalent. And if you dig away at things, problems, addictions, fears, anxieties, it all comes back down to us feeling like I am not good enough. And when it comes to sex and the sexual arena and intimacy, that feeling of I'm not good enough can just show up so powerfully that I think a lot of the fear comes from actually from sex. And if you really want to change your confidence in all areas of your life, you need to look at sex. Like, not wait till you're desperate. It's something that needs to be looked at by all men now. That's my personal belief.
So I know that you're passionate about working with men with performance anxiety and fear and stress, and that makes sense because it was a huge part of your journey. So of course, you're a great person to speak to that. Um, what ways are you wanting to work with men? Are you going to do a training? Are you going to do like calls per month? Like, what are the ways that you want to work with men that have performance anxiety or fear around sex?
The main thing I'm doing now, I've built like a 21-day program, which is just a 3-week complete holistic reset of the body, which is based on it's it's an offer for men that want a relationship or a partner or a connection with a female, but they're actually scared of success. So it's not that they haven't got the confidence to speak to women, it's that if it goes well with the woman and the woman wants to have sex, that's where the fear lies. So I've designed a 3-week program to remove the fear, essentially. So if you're a man that does have fear and anxiety around sex, I remove the fear through coaching and embodiment practices and relearning stories and rewiring your body and your nervous system. It's like a whole holistic package. In 3 weeks, you can go from scared to full confidence. But I do also offer like 6-month coaching packages and one-off coaching sessions as well, because it's not just performance anxiety.
Yeah.
It's such a, there's so many other issues that men can have, and I don't want to detract from them. So I can help men with, anything, any problems or, you know,
Imagine that you were speaking to yourself back before you had reached out to talk to anyone. What is it that men that are afraid of sex, but they haven't talked to someone or they haven't gone for it fully yet? What does that man need to hear?
that you're not alone. That it's probably from the research I've done and from what I've looked into it, it's like a pandemic that no one talks about it. It's one of the most unspoken, um, shared lived experiences that men have. So the main thing I'd want, if I always wanted to become the guy that I was looking for.
Yeah.
So when I first looked and I couldn't find anyone, I was like, I'm going to want to be the guy I was looking for. You're not alone. This is perfectly normal and it's perfectly rational. And to be fair, if you're worried that you're not going to be good enough for a partner, this is a brilliant quality because it's just showing you want to be good and you want to provide pleasure and you want to have a good connection.
Mhm.
So there's hope, there's a solution, and like this can be changed not easily because it's uncomfortable and you have to do some work, but it can be changed and it can change the whole rest of your life, all areas of your life.
Yeah, what just came to me too is what we're asking or proposing is that you trade one discomfort for another.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all
Well,
the stuff,
yeah, a long discomfort for, a short, intense period of discomfort and then life
yeah,
changed.
all the pain, all the stress, all the fear, all the anxiety. Oh my gosh, man. Sexual anxiety is some of the worst anxiety ever.
Hmm. Crippling.
I've had different versions of it and I remember thinking like, man, is it even worth it? Is this even
Yeah.
worth it? Like I feel for me, one of my a different fear and anxiety, but was a big one for me was like around getting a woman pregnant.
Right.
And I would stress for so long after a sexual experience and I was just like, no, I don't
Why?
even want this. I don't even want
Yeah.
this. And I had to face that stress. I had to go into it and see where it came from and use these different modalities to move through what was there. And now how that doesn't cross my mind at all anymore. But to remember the back to the like the discomfort that I felt, yeah, what we're really asking you is to say, okay, look at the discomfort that exists for you in your relationship to sexuality. Would you be willing to face a different kind of discomfort to help with shifting this discomfort that you're facing all alone and most likely won't change for a long time, if ever?
Yeah. Short term pain for long term pleasure. To go back to performance anxiety, for me, it was crippling and it can be crippling. And it's because society has told men you should know what you're doing. You certainly don't need to ask anyone else because you're supposed to know what you're doing. You're supposed to be really good. You're supposed to last, you know, half an hour, whatever. You're supposed to always be hard. You're always got to be good. There's just so many unwritten societal expectations on men that we all grow up with. Even if someone doesn't directly say these things to you, this is just what we're fed. This is what we're told. And so anything that deviates from that script that you're supposed to be following, you deem as a failure as a man. And there's this deep fear of being a failure. So that there's no wonder there's such anxiety there. The pressure.
I just had something land in my head that hasn't before, and it was this idea that there's jokes made about men won't ask for directions. Like
Yes.
in driving that will be lost and like the partner's going, you need to get a map or you need to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
ask somebody for
No,
directions. He's like, no.
no.
And like how similar that is in the world of sex. Like if a
Yeah.
man is not going to ask for directions driving, he sure as
No,
hell not is not going to ask for directions in the bedroom.
absolutely not. No. Yeah, that's a great analogy. We're stubborn for a start. But I mean, we just don't, we don't want to feel that shame of not being up to standard that we're
Yeah.
supposed to be upheld to. So it's no wonder it's such a huge thing.
And this is why we need to have these conversations because what kind of insane standard are we holding ourselves to when we just think that we should be good and perfect at everything? Like there are things that I have learned and studied my whole life, and I could still be better at them. That's part of
Mhm.
learning. There's
Yeah.
very few things that you stop learning at a certain point and don't learn anymore. Whether you're a
Mm.
professional athlete, the best in the world, like the best of the best are still learning things. So how can we as men think that something like this we should just know and we could never get better at or could never create a better relationship with this thing?
Yeah, and no one's actually told us what to do in the first place anyway. So it's like we're not given any education apart from, a bit of basic biology in school. No one tells us what we're supposed to do, but yet we're supposed to know exactly what we're supposed to be doing, and we're supposed to be brilliant at it. And we can't ask anyone whether we're doing it right or not. We just have to know. So there's just so much opportunity there for shame because if it doesn't look like what you think that it's supposed to look like, not what someone's told you it's supposed to look like, what you think it's supposed to look like, if it doesn't look like that, you have failed. Madness.
Well, I'm grateful for this journey together, and I know we're just getting started.
Yeah, it's so cool.
I'm excited to watch you continually grow on your path. And for the listeners, I'll put Alex's stuff in the description so you can find links there to different things that you can check out of Alex's. And I'm sure this won't be the last time we drop in on any of this stuff. Uh, what
No.
what do you want to leave the listeners with here?
Um, just yeah, follow my Instagram, reach out, especially if you're in the UK, because um, I don't know if I am, but I think and I hope I am the only sex coach in the UK.
Wow.
But yeah, I'm here for guys that have just had enough and want to change, and like I'm just so passionate about helping guys that were in the position I was in. You don't have to suffer in silence. There is a solution. So just reach out. But yeah, it's been awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
brother. It has been
having
awesome.
it's been awesome. But it's been awesome going on this journey with you. I never in a million years thought that we'd end up here.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
first day sat in the car and -4 degrees, but
Well,
it's awesome. This
I
life is
think
awesome.
your story is a beautiful testament to how quickly things can shift. And sometimes it doesn't have to be painstakingly long and take forever. And sometimes life unfolds things in front of us that are just perfectly aligned when we make that decision to step through that threshold of discomfort or fear. And so I think you're a great example of that, of being the guy that had to walk 4 miles to have the conversation to now, being out there and sharing your story. Like, imagine if that was multiplied by thousands, tens of thousands of men in their own journeys in their relationship to sexuality. And there's enough space for it. There's enough space
Mm,
for so many more men that are leading and facilitating in this category. So and it just as it did in your journey, it starts with going on our own first.
yeah, yeah. And when it comes to men's work, like I know you do a lot of it, we need to start. I know you're doing it with Sacred Sons and stuff, but we need to start bringing sex into the whole picture of what it is to be a man, and not sidelining it as something we don't speak about.
Agreed. Let's do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Many more episodes to come. And if there's one thing that you got from this one, is the power of talking about sex openly. So go do that.
Hell
Go
yeah.
do that in your life, whatever way that is. Having conversations, uh, going and working with amazing people, reading books. Start talking to people in your life, and everything will start to shift. Take care.
No shame.
No shame.